Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal with the lead in the way here. Hang on a second. I just put some different lights up. Ah, it's this lead. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Now I've got leads everywhere. Oh, Lordy. I can do this, right? There we go. I think. All right, so this is Dear Mama Sal. We are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with our feelings. And by the way, I just wanted to let you know that I had a difficult night last night. I didn't get to sleep until well after 4. And then I got up this morning at my usual time and decided, I really did want to watch the funeral of Colin Powell. And that brought about lots of feelings for me. A man I truly respected, a man of my lifetime. And he really was a hero for me. Lots of things about him, as you know, that I felt that I could use as a benchmark. Could I be as kind, as brave, as humble as he was? And so I watched that, and you can probably imagine it was a very, I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was a very moving a funeral. It very personal, and the eulogy given by his son just broke your heart. And so I looked at it and I went, boy, that was not easy to be enthusiastic when that's how you started your morning. Or is it? You see, I chose to see it as a great way to start my day, a great day to remember just what people remember and what they feel after you pass. And I was so blessed to see, so many presidents and past presidents there, to be there with him. And and his wife, who is still recovering from COVID herself, and the family. It was just an amazing experience. And I'm so glad that I did it. And I'm so glad that I get to talk about enthusiasm today, because I do believe that that is a choice. Enthusiasm is not something that you are blessed with necessarily. It is something that you choose to be. And what a difference that makes. And when I listened to everything during the funeral service today, you just really got a sense that Colin Powell was very enthusiastic about the United States, about um, the military and everything that he did. But I thought what was the most touching thing of all was his sons telling us all, and that was a surprise to me, that there was no military about their upbringing. All right, that he didn't, play reveille every morning to get everybody out of bed or do anything like that. That he chose to be a very normal human being and a regular dad when he was at home. And I don't know why that touched my soul so much, but it did. And I was just so glad to hear it. A very, very good afternoon to you all. I hope you've had a super week with lots going on for you and lots of challenges to help you see just how incredible you can be. And what I wanted to do was talk today about enthusiasm, why it is good for us, how to achieve it when we're feeling a little bit blur, and most of all, how to pass it on to others. For those of you who don't know, Dear Mama Sal is not just about me. It's a group of people who get together, and we meet 3 times a week in order to hold each other's hands as we cope with life. And on Friday lunchtime, we talk about coping with feelings. Friday evenings, Pacific time, 7 o'clock, we talk about coping with life, where we normally do some cooking experiments right here. And then on Sunday afternoon at 3:30 Pacific, we actually talk about coping with stress. So that's who we are. And my reality is that we are pretty enthusiastic people overall. However, dealing with life sometimes has, a lot of dips and valleys in it, and so forth. But, it's okay. We can still be enthusiastic about our life if we choose to be. And I do believe that enthusiasm, to such a large extent, is a choice. For those of you who don't know, DearMamaSal, I am not a therapist or a doctor or anything like that. I am an old fart, obviously with the gray hair, who's lived a while and learnt quite a bit. And I choose to share it with the viewers, and to also my fellow viewers choose to share their experiences, which I think make it just so much more real. I want to tell a story to start with. Back in the early 1900s, there was a Major League Baseball player who was demoted to the minors. In other words, he came out of the major leagues and back into the minors because his manager thought that he lacked enthusiasm. And instead of feeling down on his luck, this player took his manager's note to heart. And he decided that he was going to actually become one of the league's most enthusiastic ball players, even if he had to fake it. And think about that. Even if he needed to fake enthusiasm, he was going to have it. And people began to take notice. And before long, he landed a position with a better league, a better team, and then went on to get a lot of press because of his enthusiasm. And I thought that was incredible. He also got a dramatic increase in income because of his enthusiasm. The interesting thing about this is that his playing didn't improve. All right. He simply was a more enthusiastic player. And in that, it led to a complete change in his personal fortune. It only lasted a few years, but he went on to become one of the most successful salesmen of his day. And after he finished his baseball career. And he said that force yourself to act enthusiastically, and you will become more enthusiastic. It was his number one rule. He challenged people to try it just for 30 days because he said this could revolutionize your life. So I look at that and go, let's think about enthusiasm and where it can and has helped us. And we'll be talking about that in a second. First of all, I just wanted to wish Nana a happy birthday. She had a birthday on the 2nd. Isabel, her birthday is tomorrow. Kimmy, her birthday is on the 9th. And Sandy's birthday is on the 10th. Boy, it's a busy beginning of the year, beginning of the month, isn't it? If there are any other birthdays from any of you that need to be included in the database, please let us know. Hi there. I wish I knew. Could you? I just see that we've got Jazz in, and welcome Jazz. And other than the regular viewers here, we've got somebody from Thessalonica. Wow, that's so difficult for me to say. In Greece. This is Thessalonica. I just wanted to say welcome to you and how nice to have you join us today. Yeah, and if there is a name that we can call you in English, because we don't speak Greek very well, just let us know, just so that we can have that. My thanks to Lynn, who does the fun thumbnails, the little pictures I put up with the warnings that the broadcasts are coming up. And just always thank her for the time she puts in to send us more thumbnails every now and then. So let us start with, what is enthusiasm? And I wonder whether any of you feel that you are enthusiastic and what your views are. The dictionary definition says it's an intense and eager enjoyment, interest, or approval. So do you feel that you have an intense or eager enjoyment of your life? All right, that is the question. Do you really feel that way? Or do you feel that sort of, your life is pretty ho-hum? And I wanted to just check with you if any of you have in your life felt the opposite. Have any of you felt anything but enthusiastic? And then I wonder what turned you around. Winston Churchill says that success is walking from one failure to another without any loss of enthusiasm. All right? So Jeannie is saying the plumber ordered a valve for us because I have not been getting hot or cold or warm water for over 2 weeks. I chose to relax about it and do the best I could with warm water and take very quick showers. What else could I do? Now that's enthusiasm, she says. Yeah, Jody's saying in some parts, yes, other parts of my life need some work, but I'm grateful to wake up every day. Yes, I think that's a very good place to start, isn't it? Are you grateful each day that you are part of the world? Are you enthusiastic about it? I hope so. And you know what Winston Churchill said is that being enthusiastic, even in failure, is, really what life is about. It's what brings you success. All right, so who do you know that is enthusiastic, I wonder? When you think about enthusiastic people, who comes to mind for you? I also wanted to ask you, um, have any of you not liked enthusiastic people? I've got to ask that question. Have any of you sort of had that opposite reaction, the feeling of distrust, a distrust of somebody who is enthusiastic? Because it was interesting, I like to look both sides of these things, right? And I can remember there have been times when I have watched an enthusiastic person and not been a happy camper. But it wasn't at times when I was at my best. It was at times when I was down, and I can't help but wonder whether the reason that I resented their enthusiasm was because I was at some level jealous of it. I don't know if any of you know where I'm coming from on that one. So I'd love to tell you that I'm enthusiastic all the time, but I'm not. But, it is just like I believe that it is a choice. I don't think it is something that you get born with. I think it's something you develop, something that you nurture, something that you is probably the greatest gift you can give other people, is to be able to reignite their enthusiasm. And so I look at it and go, I had a call this week from a friend who was in a really difficult place. And I wanted to just share with you, and I'll do that in a second, some of the things I did to take her out of the doldrums and back into her own personal enthusiasm. It wasn't about my enthusiasm. I wanted to make sure that she felt enthusiastic about what she was doing. Yeah, Jeannie is saying that she looks forward to meeting people and doing things every day. Yeah. And so I have got some tips for you if you are ever in what I call a non-enthusiastic mood. So the question that I had is, do you distrust somebody who's enthusiastic? Have you ever done that? Or am I the only one? Because when I looked at both sides of that, I can remember, seeing somebody who was really enthusiastic and, not being that gracious about it. But it was at a time in my life where I was pretty down. The next question I have is, why is enthusiasm important to our lives and our health? Well, let's rate our enthusiasm to start with. Let's be honest, enthusiastic people seem to smile a lot, don't they? So if you smile a lot, give yourself a point, all right? Because I think the most obvious sign of somebody being enthusiastic is a smile. The most obvious sign when you meet somebody that if they smile when they meet you, it gives you a sense of their enthusiasm for meeting you. If they smile on your Zoom call or whatever it is, all right, it just is, it brightens up your day. So think about this as well. Enthusiastic people are more inclined to do random acts of kindness. All right? Why? Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? If they feel good about themselves and their life, they're going to want to pass it on to others. And I know that is true for so many of my viewers. Yeah, Jody is reminding me that she says, I smile a lot and I laugh ridiculous amount. Yeah, and you know what I know about you, Jody, is when you don't feel like laughing a lot or smiling a lot, you make sure that you put on, Carol Burnett or All in the Family, or you watch something that makes you laugh, just to change that mood and get you back into that way of thinking. And it's so good for your health. You see, enthusiastic people handle challenges with ease. They're inclined to see a roadblock and they just shrug their shoulders and go, okay, now how do I get around that one? They do not hold on to the past. They just keep moving forward. Yes, I quite agree with you, Jeannie. Jeannie's saying enthusiasm is catchy in a good way. Yeah, it's one of those pandemics that you want to catch, right? One of those viruses. Catch the enthusiasm virus. I, for one, I love to be around enthusiastic people. It just, I find I'm much more creative around enthusiastic people. My problem-solving skills are much better around enthusiastic people. And so I was saying that, I had this call from a friend and she was having all sorts of problems with her mind being stuck. And, I know that feeling. I've been there. But I knew that she was, if you excuse my saying this, smart enough to give me a call because she knew that I knew her well enough to be able to pull her out of that. Yes, Jody's saying it makes me feel so good to make somebody else smile. It must be genuine, but that singular, sparkly moment is pure magic to me. Yeah, Jody, Lauren, and I, have a little group together that we've had for the longest time, and part of our day is to make one another smile, and I love that. And it can be from really cute pictures of puppies or whatever to stupid things. It doesn't matter. It's like, do you take the time to make somebody else smile, knowing that that'll be good for their mental health for the day? I thought this was interesting. When I did the research, do you know that enthusiastic people have better posture? They stand tall. Isn't that interesting? So therefore, they use their muscles better. And if you think about it, it's really difficult to sort of slouch like this and go, I feel great. It's almost as difficult as being able to go, I feel terrible. It's diametrically opposed to it. And one of the things that I love to do with people is to show them that, a lot of holding their chins up, of having posture that is enthusiastic. I always used to say to people when I was a professional speaker, one of the things I said to people, the most important thing I do is to walk on stage, because the way I walk on stage will determine how people see me. Now, it was funny because I also used to talk in the reality of the fact that if I went up there confident and smiling, um, people would judge me for that, both positively and negatively. People would say, we got ourselves a smiler. Really amazing. But, other people just seeing me smile and walk up on stage would decide they're going to like me because of the way I smiled. And then if I tripped on the way up, which, me, I'm more than likely to do that. It was interesting how people would react. You see, the people that had decided they didn't like me already because I was a smiler would go, she can't even walk straight. And yet the people who decided they liked me already before I even opened my mouth would say, oh, isn't she human? And look how she coped with it. So it's about, you're never going to please all of the people all the time. Don't let that change your enthusiasm for your life. The fact they're miserable in theirs should not change yours. So people that are enthusiastic are inclined to have better posture. All right? They sit up. They lift their chins. They use their facial muscles a lot because they're smiling a lot. And my question is, how do you rate on that one? Do you stand tall as you can? Do you make a point of keeping those muscles strong? As you know, part of my goal in life at the moment is to keep being able to stand, to keep being able to do things that my age, my bones are beginning to say, I don't want to do that, or my muscles, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going, yeah, well, we're going to make sure that you do. And so part of my enthusiasm for life is part of my discipline to keep myself enthusiastic. I can assure you, I don't always want to get up and on my air gliding machine to do exercise. But I feel better after I've done it. So my goal is, can I support myself and be enthusiastic enough to get on it? Because once I'm on it, I'm fine. It's a bit like those of you who will know that if you want to go for a walk, the most difficult thing about going for a walk is actually opening up the door and going outside the house. Once you're outside, it's easy. It's, just stopping your life enough to go outside and fresh air. Part of my life, as you know, those of you who follow me regularly, part of my daily routine is to get out and have fresh air. It doesn't matter whether it's raining. It doesn't matter whether it's, a hurricane wind or whatever. Can I get outside and just take half an hour of fresh air? Because I think that's part of keeping my body healthy, and therefore I am enthusiastic about that. And so my question to you is, how do you rate on your posture? Do you think you stand, as tall as you can? When you walk, do you walk enthusiastically, if you can? And when you greet people, do you greet them, with a good posture? Do you extend a hand of friendship to people? I think it's all about, I've always said to people, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. And so if you open your arms to people, right, when you go to meet them and greet them enthusiastically, it is a whole different feeling than just think about your body language. It's really important. I've also found that enthusiastic people are inclined to be fixers. Right? It doesn't matter how bad the solution is. They think in terms of, let me think what can be done. And to my mind, non-enthusiastic people always seem to accept that there is a problem and there's nothing they can do about it. And my experience is that some of the greatest inventions of the world have been from enthusiastic people who found something didn't work and then said, okay, what would we need to make it work better? Now, if you've got that what I call fixer mentality, that you don't see problems as a wall, you see problems as a door you can open and have a look inside and see if you can improve it. That makes you a pretty enthusiastic person, I believe. So, do you like to find solutions to things? And if so, then you're probably an enthusiastic person. And it's said that enthusiastic people are inclined to be more open and they attract people to them. What's your experience? Right? Are you inclined, if you go into a social setting, are you more inclined to go towards somebody that's smiling? Or are you more inclined to go towards somebody that's looking miserable as can be? Think about that. And are you more inclined to go to somebody, up to somebody who's laughing? And again, to what degree of laughter? Have you seen people who are absolutely got a belly laugh going on? And do you find that more attractive than somebody who's curled up almost in the fetal position somewhere? So, I'm not saying that all people should be gregarious and outgoing necessarily. It's not everybody's personality. But I've known some pretty quiet people that have stunning smiles and genuinely enthusiastic about meeting you. Napoleon Hill said that enthusiasm is contagious, and the person who has it under control is generally welcome in any group of people. And I think that's so awesome, don't you? And Carlos Santana, the musician, said, there is nothing more contagious on this planet than enthusiasm. How about this one? Enthusiastic people are always challenging themselves to learn more, be it at baking or creating or even technicalities, all right? They are lifelong learners. So you look at it and go, how well do you do on that? And while you're thinking about that, Jeannie's just saying, I've been told that I have sclerosis, but I stand tall, never slouch. I hold myself up. All 5 feet or less of me. Jeannie, that is the whole thing, isn't it? It's about, do you stand as tall as you can, even if you have a spinal situation? Really important. And Jody is saying, definitely, I'm drawn towards somebody that looks like their life is a party, their life of the party, or has a great body language or a stunning smile. But I also take on the challenge to talk to wallflowers. Yes, isn't that true, right? Do you go out of your way to find somebody who's not looking very enthusiastic and show a genuine interest? Again, when I was listening to the funeral of Colin Powell this morning, one of the things that I was very touched by is how people said that he was so good at making everybody feel important, regardless of their stature, it didn't matter whether you were a president or a janitor. He just had a way of smiling and being genuinely interested in everybody. And I think having a genuine interest in people makes you enthusiastic. It also helps you learn a lot. And I think that enthusiastic people care about other people's goals, all right? They do a lot to help other people in their goals. As I was saying, this friend of mine, when she phoned, what had happened is she had set her next goal for the next phase of her life, but it was determined she'd got a new partner in her life, in her business. And suddenly, within months, that partner has moved away. And she wasn't expecting that. And now, she had all those hopes and dreams pinned to this person. And, I was so glad that she phoned me because, first of all, I listened really well. to hear this, how she felt about this. And then I just started to rebuild um, her enthusiasm for what she had originally told me. And I reminded her, when we talked about this 6 months ago, you said da 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 da. And now that you cannot link it to that person, who's the next person you're going to link it to? And does it have to be one person? Could you have all sorts of different people that help you in this venture this way? And she said, that's a good point. It doesn't have to be one person, does it? And I said, no, I don't think so. And, it was about, she then, said to me, well, I was thinking maybe I should do X, Y, and Z. Well, her whole voice tone and everything about the way she was describing it told me she didn't want to do that. And I said, look, I've got to ask you as a friend, is that what you want to do? Honestly, is it what you want to do? And she went, no. I said, then don't go down that path. You've lived a long time. Why don't you do things they're fun to you, not things that are going to make you feel stressed and more vulnerable and all those sort of things. So, why don't you work on the good stuff, not on the bad? And she's, and the other thing I did, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but before I finished our conversation, I said to her, I just want to thank you so much. And she said, what? And I said, I just want to thank you so much for trusting me with this. It made me feel so good. So do you understand that I wanted her to know that the fact she called me for this discussion made me feel really good? And, she laughed and said, Sal, who else am I going to call when that sort of stuff's going on? And I said, well, I just want to thank you for thinking of me. And she said, you've been the person I think of on those situations ever since I met you, because you never dwell on the negative. You always look forward. And I said, well, thank you. And I genuinely thank you for calling me, because it helped me Have you noticed that when you help somebody else, it helps you with something that you might be working on? Jeannie's saying, I didn't recognize a woman who I went to high school with, who was working at the polls recently. She remembered me and said hello. Even with my white hair, everybody seems to know me. And I told her in return how glad I was that she said something. Yes. It's wonderful when we can be enthusiastic about meeting people, or when we are grateful for people in our lives every day. Think about that. So, with some of you knowing about this, where do you find your enthusiasm? All right, let me have your comments. I want to say that one of the most important things to help you have enthusiasm is to make the time to do things that are important to you and things that you love. For example, I had every excuse not to watch that funeral this morning. I hadn't had enough sleep. I wasn't feeling particularly good. I could justify not watching it for a long time. And I went, it's really important that you see this, Sal. It's really important because you really admired the man, and everybody that is there will feel the same way. And so it was like taking a moment for me. It was almost like taking the hour or so, in prayer. That's how it felt. I really felt very grounded. It messed up my makeup a few times, but, it was just like, on the plus side, it really cleared my sinuses, because crying does that for you, doesn't it? So I could see that there were some good things to happen in that way. So make time to do the things that you love, not the things you have to do. You will always make time for the things you have to do. All right? What happens is we don't make enough time for the things that we love. And that really helps us be enthusiastic. As Jody has mentioned, make time to do the things that make you laugh. All right? Personally, living makes me laugh, as you know, because I really mess it up so many times, right? So I just have to get on with the business of living, and I'm pretty sure to laugh. All right, Jody's saying, I find that my enthusiasm and gratitude for life, my faith in Lionel. All right, I find my enthusiasm and gratitude for life, my faith in Lionel, that's her husband, and my closest friends who inspire me every day. Yeah, that that is really the essence. Do you know what helps you feel enthusiastic? And it was said that enthusiasm is contagious. Be a carrier, right? If other people are not feeling enthusiastic, it is within our power to help other people be more enthusiastic and therefore be healthier. And the third thing I wanted to remind you about is make time to interact with positive people. As you know, a lot of people have said to me, Sal, how can you do what you do? You hear so many sad stories, and you deal with so many difficult situations. And on that note, I would like to say, if any of you have a subject you'd particularly like me to talk about, just let me know at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. But I don't find when people write to me about their sadness or about the difficulties they're having, I don't find that brings me down. Again, I always think it's such an honor that they would trust me with that story. And so for me, I don't see that interacting with negative people. I see that as interacting with people who at the moment have a problem. Yeah, Jeannie is saying that her enthusiasm helped her get through the fire. She had, her whole house burnt down, right the way down. Imagine. And she's saying her enthusiasm helped her get through the fire. Whoops, hang on a second. Yes, you didn't want to get pulled down by sadness. Yeah, you can sort of feel that sadness sucking you in at times, right? And I think it's really important that you realize how much control you have. At the time you don't think you do, but then people who are emotionally intelligent realize they can control how long they stay in a negative situation. It is not anybody else that controls that. You control how long you stay there. And for example, I think I was telling you when they put in the final part of my, I also had a fire in my house. They did installed the final blind this week, and in doing so, had to make a terrible mess of my wall. Now, the blind people are not responsible for fixing the wall, apparently. And so, for a split second, I was concerned because I thought, I totally signed off on the insurance. And this is why I wasn't keen to sign off before it was all totally finished, is what happens if. And I went, it's just a roller blind. They're just going to put it back. And guess what? No, when they put, because it wasn't a roller blind from that many years ago when the original went up, it's a new one. The new one was a different size. When they put it in the holes of the original one, it wasn't center on the window, you name it. So, and it wasn't level. It was more evident that it wasn't level. And so I look at it and it was just like the guy looked at me and said, what do you think? I said, I don't think it's level and I don't think it's centered. If you ask for my honest opinion, you will get it. And he said, to do that means I would have to make extra holes in your wall. I said, then let's do that. Let's do that. And the funny thing was, knowing that I had totally signed off on my insurance claim and that I probably, didn't have a leg to stand on. But, I didn't believe that it wasn't worth a try. So what I did was I wrote to the restoration people and said, hey, guys, just want to let you know, this is the reason I was a little bit hesitant about signing off before it was totally finished. This is what has happened. And I just sent the pictures. And the funny thing was, I almost immediately got a reply that just said, "Don't worry, Sal, we'll fix it for you." You see, I believed in their integrity. I was enthusiastic in the knowledge that even though I'd signed off and I didn't have a leg to stand on, that they were honorable people. You see, I've been enthusiastic and patient with them all the way down the line. And they know that. And they know that they pushed me to sign those documents when I said I didn't want to sign them until everything was finished. They remembered that. And so I didn't have to plead too much. But you know something else? In reality, I was quite willing to hear that I'd signed the documents and they no longer had any responsibility. You know, I would not have said it wasn't fair or whatever. I am the one who signed those documents off, not, that was my choice. Thinking that putting up a roller blind wouldn't cause any problems. How wrong could I be? But now I got to thank everybody for their integrity. And that made me very enthusiastic. You see, I do believe there are good people in the world. I really do. I think when you treat people well, they treat you better. And so Jody's saying to Jeannie that I admire your tremendous strength and patience. You showed such grace, Jeannie. And the same goes for Sal. Very inspiring. Well, you know something? What choice did we have? I guess we could have curled up in a ball, couldn't we, Jeannie? And freaked out and made ourselves sick. No, I don't think so. What was the point of doing that? It wasn't going to get us where we wanted to go. Hi there, Kimmy. Good to see you. So again, enthusiasm is contagious. You can start an epidemic, right? So I think it's really important for us to understand that how enthusiastic we are rubs off on other people. And so now let's think about the next thing. And the next thing I wanted to think about was make time to chat to people about new ideas. All right? I was listening to somebody this week, and Doug, in fact, for those of you who know Doug, and he was talking about the political situation in the States, which, he and I talk about a lot. And he was, pretty upset about certain things. And I just kept saying, well, let's stop talking about what we don't like. What do you think should have happened? Tell me what you think should have happened. How would you have changed this to get a different result? And it was interesting to hear what he had to say. And what I found happened was it moved him away from the negativity that he was feeling at the time. And then you could hear his voice changed and his creativity changed in that moment. So when you've got somebody that's really stuck in a place, make sure that you get them thinking about new things, not keep regurgitating old ones. And one of the things I found that people who are hurting, I don't know if you found that, but they're inclined to go over the same stuff time and time and time again. And the way that I stop that is I actually call it for what it is. And I'll say, you know something, Joan, I've heard that point a couple of times already. So let's not go back there. Let's not keep going over that ground. We've been there. Let's work on some solutions together. Oh, okay. You see, they don't realize they keep going back over the same things over and over and over again. And it normally starts with why. Why did he do that? Why did she do that? Why did, and I go, who cares why? They just did. Let's move on. So what most people don't have are enough ideas. My experience has been in problem solving with people is that their biggest block is the fact that they don't have enough options in their mind. It's not that they're stupid. They just don't have enough options in their mind because they're stuck in what's happened to them. And so one of the things I always try and do to help people is to give them lots of options. Hey, I understand you got this problem. All right, I will normally say you've probably thought of all these before, but here are some options I can think about at this moment. I can think about, oh, maybe it would be possible to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe you could look at this. Maybe you could do this. And, I'll literally, roll out as many ideas as I can think of. And I'll go, do any of those ring a bell for you? And it's amazing how many times they will say to me, something I hadn't thought about it, but that point that you made about so-and-so, that makes sense. And I go, good. I'm pleased to hear that. So what can we do? And it's an important thing. Make time to talk new ideas with them. Don't keep leaving them with those old ideas of being stuck, because that's not helping anybody. So make time to encourage your family and friends. Right now, who do you know in your family and friends that need some encouragement? Right? I'm pretty certain there's somebody. And what are you going to do to help them? I've also found that something as simple as sending them, I quite often will send an email, but I just write in the subject line. I don't bother with, it's like a mini text for people who don't text, right? I just say, just wanted to send you a hug, love, Sal. Oh, interesting. Kimmy's saying, we can't move on because there wasn't any closure. With all due respect, Kimmy, do you want me to tell you my feelings about that, or do you want to not hear my input on that? Let me know. And if you can give me the example, it would help me help you a lot more. Kimmy, I can think of a lot of situations in my life where I could have said, I can't move on because there wasn't any closure. And when I think back on it, I realize that I get to choose what the closure is. And that is where emotional intelligence comes in. I can hang on to something for as long as I want to with that reasoning. Or I can say, it is over. I'm moving on. In other words, you go back to the serenity prayer, Kimmy, and go, can you change this? And if the answer is no, move on. That's your closure. If you cannot change it, move on. Do not let it control your life any longer. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. And I think the words, we can't move on because there wasn't any closure, that is suffering to me. And that is a choice. Does that make sense, Kimmy? It's not that my heart bleeds for you, because whatever that was, you've probably suffered with it for some time. But the truth is, it is your choice. All right, how long you suffer, not somebody else's. And I could say so many things about, I could have so many things I could choose to stay stuck on because there wasn't any closure. Interesting. Kimmy's saying people get mad at me and they don't explain. It's so hard on me because I don't know why they're mad. Well, you want my view on that one, Kimmy? Oh, and Kimmy continued to say, they have moved on, I guess, because they don't care. Yeah, so to my mind, if I were in that situation, Kimmy, I'm not saying that you've done anything wrong, but what I would do is I would write to them in any way that I could and just say, I want to say that I know you're mad at me, but I don't know why. And that is difficult for me. So if ever you would like to take the time to tell me, I would appreciate it. Then you are clear that you have done what you can. All right. The fact that they don't phone you up and explain it, or they don't write to you and explain it, is on them. And how many people. All right. So Kimmy says, I have, and they don't care. If they don't care, move on. You don't need that in your life. But it doesn't mean they're gone forever, Kimmy. What that means is they're gone until they realize what they did. And some people will come back. I've done that with people who hurt me and, didn't want to discuss it. And I just said, hey, if you want to hurt me and not discuss it, then you're not a friend. And I will just let it go. I would give up trying. All right. When I say I would give up trying, I would still treat them with dignity. I would still acknowledge their birthdays and send a Christmas card if I felt that, I had enough love glue attached to this. But I wouldn't make a whole lot of effort. Remember what we said about pursuer and distancer, right? If you keep trying to chase this person, they will keep running away. So part of it says, hey, you know where I am, I'm here, and I'm still a nice person. If you want to be part of this, then come back. And it really, I think it's part of feeling strong in yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, Kimmy's saying I have made progress. Sometimes I get reminded, but I work on moving on. Yes, the greatest thing you can do is to still be happy. Yes, and Jeannie's reminding us that sometimes people are not there forever. Some are there for a reason, some are there for a season, and some of them are there for a lifetime. And by the way, it has nothing to do with family, from my experience. Some of your family are there for a reason, to teach you something, maybe what you don't want to be. Some of your relatives are there for a season, all right? And some are there for a lifetime. I always said the greatest gift that was ever given to me was the day I realized I could create my own family. That was amazing. And I just went, who would I like in my life for a long time? Who supports me in things that I want to do? Who believes in me? Who understands me? It has taken the time to get to know me well enough to understand me. And I look at that and I think to create your own family, that also helps with your enthusiasm. So can you understand that this whole thing with my friend, when she told me the reason she called me was because she was in this rut and she knew the one person she could talk to was me, and I would help her out of it with solutions. How do you think my enthusiasm for our friendship went? I was so blessed, in that moment. The other thing was when I was talking to her to help build her enthusiasm up, I talked in terms of, I know you well enough to know you are a courageous person. And I'd say things like, I've always known you, I've always loved your ability to come up with options. So let's work on some together. Let's see whether we've got, between us, we can come up with enough options for you. And I remember that somebody told me once when I was really down, a friend of mine said, Sal, I want you to know I believe in you. And I said, what? And she said, there is no failure as long as one person believes in you. And I want you to know I am that one person, because you're telling, you seem to think that nobody believes in you. Well, I do. And I believe in your courage, and I believe in your ability to see past this. And in that moment, it changed how I felt. I was so grateful. All right. Yeah, and Janie's saying my first friend as a child and my first close friend in high school both um, went away. And she said it took time, but I finally let it go. Yes. Letting it go is really important. Kimmy's asking, has anybody spoken to Nyasha? I speak to her fairly regularly, yes. Oops. Have you spoken to her? She was in last week. Just so you know. She popped in on Sunday, I think, for a while, and also, I think, twice last week. So my question again is it possible to be enthusiastic with somebody else even though you're not feeling enthusiastic? What do you think? So allowing for the fact that this friend of mine called, did I have to be in a great mood to be able to help her? And I would say no. Sometimes just talking to somebody you know cares is all that they need. Sometimes just sending a hug is all that they need. It's people. It lifts their mood if they know that you cared enough to drop them a line, even if the line just says, "Hey, just thinking of you and sending you a hug." Or, "I believe in your courage. Keep at it." So you don't have to be feeling great to bring out goodness in others. I also, as you know, ask a lot of questions when I am helping friends. And that is, to me, I want to know how can I best help them. So I will always ask that question. How can I support you at this time? And I nearly always get the same answer by doing just what you're doing. I go, okay, I just wanted to check. I don't want to presume I know what support they need. Um, I ask because I want to be, that person for them if I can. And I would also say that it's important to keep them smiling or laughing when possible. So even if their story is sad and heartbreaking or whatever, you can still make them smile. You can send them funny memes, to make them laugh. You can send them pictures of puppies to make them smile. I just know from experience. Manon and I, funny enough, for those of you who know Manon in France, she and I have exchanged, puppy pictures for as long as I've known her. Normally, I also will go out of my way to find pink puppies or pink whatevers, because we know she's obsessed with anything pink. But, even when she was going through her breakup of her relationship, I didn't bother to say a whole lot of things that I didn't necessarily think were going to help her. But I did know that seeing puppies would make her smile. So to me, it's about I can be enthusiastic in doing that. It gives me pleasure to be able to think, hey, um, what can I do to make them smile today? All right. Yeah, and Jody's saying you've said that to me quite often. Yes, Jody. I don't want to presume I know what you need. I would prefer to know what you need, if that makes sense. And as a friend, that is very important to me. So enthusiasm for life also requires that you protect it. And when I say it requires that you protect it, how many people do you allow to suck your enthusiasm away? All right. How many times have you been feeling really enthusiastic about doing something and then somebody has, rained on your parade? What do you do then? Let me hear what you do when you're feeling enthusiastic about something and somebody just poo-poos it and tries to tell you you can't do it, or they don't think it's very smart or whatever. What do you do? How do you stop losing your enthusiasm? That's important to know. If you are feeling like, it wasn't a great idea, then what happens to your enthusiasm? And I'm pretty certain we've all got naysayers in our life. All right? I'm pretty certain we've all got naysayers in our lives. People who want to tell us they don't think that what we're doing is a good idea. I would like to suggest that I understand that's part of life. And if I let them suck my enthusiasm, then I don't control my enthusiasm, they do. Does that make sense? It's really important to me that I stay in control of my enthusiasm. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that she puts distance between her and that person and just moves on. I try and make sure that I just understand that maybe, again, I try to remember that not everybody feels good about somebody who's enthusiastic about something. I can remember, for example, somebody getting involved in a multi-level marketing thing. All right. And they were so enthusiastic about it. And they even asked if they could come with the upline person, whatever that, and do a presentation. Now, what do I know? All right. I know about multi-level marketing. I've lived a few years. I know how it works. And so I said, yes, I'd be delighted to have that person do a presentation, because I knew it would amuse. I'm sorry to say that, but that's what I knew it would amuse me. And I knew that it would be, a good experience for my friend to be in the room while I was amused. And so this person came in and sat at my dining room table and started this presentation and kept going, how much money I would make if I got involved. And I said, really? What makes you think that? And the thing was, well, so many people. I said, yes, I do. You're quite right. I do. So you'd like to use those people, is that right? Oh, no, 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 no. And I go, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And so then I was saying, well, how much money will I make? And and they started to tell me, these incredible figures. And I said, oh, so you've made that sort of money? Oh, yeah. And I said, could I see the balance sheet? Could I see your bank account? What? I said, I hear you, but I would like to, I would like to see that in reality. So if you could show me just one bank account where you put that much money into your bank account, I'd be very happy to see it. I have yet to have somebody do that. All right. I have yet to have somebody actually show me their bank account. because, it's all good talk, but, in reality. And so at the end of it, I listened to the presentation, and then I looked at the person who was doing them, wanting to join them. And I said, now then, I am your friend and I would like to support you. So what is it that you would like to sell me that would help you? Because I am your friend. And so why don't you do a presentation, and then I will, do my best to support you. And I did. I let them do the presentation on what it was that was going on, and I did buy something. And after I bought, I said, now then, I feel I've supported you, and that is the limit of what I will do, because this is multi-level marketing, and I don't agree with it. It's a good business to do people with. And it was so strange, because that person came back to me many years later and said they never forgot that. They never forgot that it's a good business to do people with. And the reason that I know that is because I spent a lot of time, in the early part of my life, where multi-level marketing was very popular, until they, legally stopped a lot of it. And quite honestly, it's like, hey, if you can make a fortune doing it, you be my guest. But the truth is, I worked with people in insurance, for example. And one of the things I know, that the most valuable thing they can get from me in insurance is a list of my friends, is referrals, all right? That's what they need. They don't need me. They need my friends. They need me to pass names on and so forth. And once I got that reality, that was quite different. Jody's saying that top level person didn't expect to run into me. No, he didn't, I must admit. And I just said, hey, if you can make a fortune doing this, good on you. I can't do it. And they said, oh, yes, you can. I said, no, I don't have the right mind for it. I don't have the right mind. I will not use people. That's not what I do. No, you're helping them. I said, I understand that. In your view, that's what it is. I know from my reality, that's not what it is. From my reality, it is using people. And so, I have a different view. And I know I'm entitled to that. So, it was quite interesting. Did anybody get any joy out of finding a money-saving tip this week? And the reason I ask you was because I found something that, I wonder if I can see it here. It's not very clear. Hang on a second. By doing a bit of research this week, I halved the price of something. I was really pleased about that. And Jody, hang on a second. What did I do with it? I must have put it away. Jody, I just wanted to say, after our discussion about Worcestershire sauce and how little sodium it has in it and stuff like that, I want to tell you, I've gone back to using it. I used to use it a lot, but once I realized that doesn't have a lot of bad stuff in it, I must say that I started using it a lot more. And the thing that I wanted to buy was in fact some pad thai sauce. Because what I discovered was sometimes just buying the pre-made sauce, it saves you a whole lot of money, especially if it's on sale. So what I will look at is, that generic, and have they got a brand that's on sale at the moment, in which case I will buy some. But I have found that whilst I understand making sauces from scratch, is great if you have the time or inclination, that I personally just like to make something quite often and just drizzle the sauce over the top. I don't need necessarily a whole lot of it. I just like to add that sparkle to it, if you like. And I know that I am inclined not to eat all sorts of different parts of a chicken. I'm a chicken breast sort of person. I like the chicken breast, and so I don't feel badly about just buying chicken breast. But now I don't buy a couple. If I'm going to buy chicken breast, I'm going to buy a box. And then, by the way, I don't put them into my freezer in the box because that takes up a whole lot of room. I actually take them and repackage them. It takes up far less room. Just a thought. I heard somebody say this week, it was on the news or something. Somebody said, to their wife, if you don't get a vaccine, I'll file for divorce. How do you feel about that? What would you do if the person in your life said, if you take that vaccine, I'll file for divorce? Wow, Jeannie's saying that she managed to find 2 pairs of good woolen socks for her husband, York, at a discount at $2.99. They're regularly $22. Great stocking stuffer, absolutely. And, as you know, I do that all year. I look at what I do is whenever I buy anything during the year, Jeannie, I go, who do I know that also would appreciate that? So instead of buying, if I see it on sale, instead of buying one, let me buy some. And then I put them aside. I'm busy sort of sorting through the things that I got. One of the things I got. One of the things I got is some cedar discs that you can hang over your your hanger. And what I'm doing at the moment, can you see the disc? So what I'm doing now is just, I bought some cedar oil, and I'm now just saturating them all with cedar oil, and then I will package them again, to put them in people's gift bags. All right. Yes, now it's interesting. In answer to the question, if you don't get a vaccine, I'll file for divorce. That is controlling behavior. All right. Jody's saying, let me help you with the paperwork. Yes, Jody, exactly. And Jeannie's saying it sounds hateful. It is. It's horrid. And so, it's like my brother who chose not to have a vaccine. It's his choice, all right? And so to me, to try and manipulate people like that, the answer actually, Jody, that you gave, which is, okay, if that's what you want to do on that issue, then, let's start the paperwork. And what you're saying is, I will not be manipulated like that. Yeah, and Sam saying therapy is a lot cheaper than divorce. I don't know, Sam. I managed to get a pretty cheap divorce one time. I think I did it for about $350, and I don't think therapy is that cheap. But I understand your point. What I found is that you can get divorced very cheaply if you don't open your mouth. Literally, if you go, I want a divorce, where do I sign? And what costs money is all the discussion and trying to come to an agreement or whatever. But if you just keep your mouth shut, I can remember going to a lawyer once, Sam, and he started to say to me, well, what you should have done was da, da, da. I said, stop. Is the clock still running? He said, what? I said, am I still paying for you? And he said, yes. And I said, then could I ask you not to discuss what I should have done until my time is over? If you want to discuss that for free, I'd be delighted to hear it. but I'm here to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not here to talk about what I should have done. And the guy burst out laughing. He said, good for you. And by the way, we did all that. And then he said, okay, I'm off the clock now. Now, can I tell you what you should have done? I said, I'd be delighted to hear it. Thank you. The other thing I found, if you really want to save money using a lawyer, write them an email, tell them what you need, and let them do it. In other words, I have a contract. Please, could you read it? Bill me. Because if you go in to see them, that's going to take up an hour, right? And they'll charge you for an hour. But if they just have to read a contract and you're not busy interrupting them all the time, then, it'll cost you maybe 10 minutes. I can be pretty enthusiastic about that. All right. So you understand. Be very aware of people who manipulate you. All right. It's a very, very subtle thing. I let people manipulate me for so much of my life. And it isn't about people trying to educate you or help you or whatever. People saying, if you don't do this, then I will do that. How about people who say, if you leave me, I'll commit suicide? How many men have heard that story? And I want to say men because I think women are more inclined to use that tactic than men are. Men just move on. If it's over, it's over. They move on to a large extent. But women, they'll do, cling on as far as they can. It's horrible manipulation. And definitely not very enthusiastic one. So when you look at it, think about what you're doing. I've had people, try to manipulate me on all sorts of things. And one of the things I say to them is, just want to let you know, I do know you're trying to manipulate me. No, I'm not. I said, actually, yes, you are. And I just want to tell you that even if you're not aware that you are, you are. And I choose not to be manipulated. And it's really funny because quite a few of them have come back to me later and said, that discussion we had about manipulation? And I said, yes. I said, I was trying to manipulate you. I said, I know. Helena, how do I get over my crush? First of all, can I ask you, Helena, what made you give yourself that username? Is it so that you control, or what is I'd love to know your rationale behind that. I find people's usernames are really interesting to me. Yeah, I'm aware of that, Jody. Thank you. So Kimmy is saying when people try to manipulate her, she just walks away now. Yeah, exactly. So before I talk about the crush thing, I would just like to have why I find it fascinating. Michelle Moore said, when excitement and passion are evident, people want to be around you, including prospects. Prospects will want to do business with you because your joy is contagious. Okay, so you've got how old are you, Helena? The reason I need to know roughly how old you are is because depending on your age, it will affect how I answer the question. You're 25 and you have a crush on somebody. So it's not love. All right, so we got a number of people in the room, and I'm pretty certain, um, having a crush on somebody is something I would expect from a teenager, um, a, a young teenager, not from a 25-year-old. So, can I just check, what culture have you grown up on? Oh, you're 21. Okay. The one is a long way away from the 5. Typing wise, if you had hit the one next to it, that would make more sense to me. Anyway, the way you get over a crush is to move on. And, to say, I keep thinking about her, I want to tell you something. There are people that I have loved in my life that I will think about for the rest of my life. So just in case this is real, I want to tell you, only you can decide when you're going to move on. And moving on means that you are aware that every now and then you will have thoughts about that person. It is like any loss, all right? If you have a loss, you will continue to think about that person. That, it's not that you don't think about them anymore. By the way, for those of you who know Sharon, she wrote to say that she had got herself a Wii machine, WII, ready for the winter. And I thought that was really good. All right, she's going to make sure that she walks during the winter. And I was really happy to see that. So I look at it and go, there is great. I was amazed, for example, when I heard that from Sharon, because I thought, gosh, that's interesting. My experience using my Wii last winter obviously rubbed off on Sharon. And by the way, I still do walk with it when I need to add steps to my life. When I'm feeling a bit sluggish. Well, one of the best ways to get enthusiastic is to actually get some exercise, because then I feel good about myself. But what surprised me was, for those of you who know I got the air glider, 2 of my neighbors have now got air gliders because I got mine. So that to me is, really good. Am I British? Helena, no, I am Canadian. I was born in Holland of British parents. And then I spent 17 years in Africa before coming to Canada about 30 years ago. So you can probably still hear that Brit part of my accent. I don't think I'll ever lose it. It's an air glider. It's, like an elliptical does this. If you're on an elliptical, an air glider does this. So it has handlebars that you hold on to, and your legs are sliding like this as well. And I've really found it very challenging to do. Energy is contagious. If you hang around negative energy, you will eventually start to absorb it. Seek out positive company, all right? Don't spend a lot of time with negative people. And I would say feel their pain, because most people who are negative are hurting in some way. I also want to say that I had a difficult week this week because it's Halloween, and I had a feeling of being a bit of a loser. I want to tell you that I bought myself 2 boxes of Halloween candy, knowing I was going to eat them, and I still am working my way through them. And I don't mean little boxes, I mean boxes. And I've put on 3 pounds since last 2 weeks anyway. And so, can I be enthusiastic about that? Yeah, actually, because I knew I was going to eat them and I knew I was going to put on weight. And I'm sad, but it just means how much extra exercise am I prepared to put in so I can go back below that benchmark I just managed to drop below. It's up to me, right? Now, how enthusiastically do I want to get rid of the 3 pounds? And you and I both know it's not going to happen until I've finished everything in those boxes. And Jody's saying, confession, I'm having some chocolate right now. So, Jody, I knew you would understand. And the main thing is I managed to keep my blood sugar a little bit under control, not too much, but, it's not too bad. I sort of have a limit to what I allow myself. So here's the other thing, remember, enthusiasm is contagious, and so is the lack of it. How many of you have been around people who just everything is negative? Oh, by the way, Kimmy, I was surprised at how little it costs to get an air glider. And by the way, it is good for my hips because, let me get far enough back. As I'm doing this, okay, it is using my core and the legs I literally am using the hips like this. So I quite agree with you. It is good for my hips. And as you know, I have arthritis in my one hip. Jody's saying about my, eating the Halloween candy, progress over perfection. Yeah, you taught me a long time ago, Jody, that what I had to remember about being a diabetic was that, you are allowed to have feast days and holidays. All right. It's just a case of, do you know how to get back on track? Jeannie's saying that they had no trick-or-treaters where she was, and her relatives told me they had also didn't have many. No, I think people are very aware of COVID and didn't want to have that. Yeah, Jody's saying they didn't have any either. I would have been really upset if I had any and had to share my candy. I can be quite honest about that feeling. So Jeannie's saying that she bought her husband, she and her husband bought really high-end chocolate squares, and they're working their way through it. I mean, that's very controlled. I love people with that control. Yeah. Jody, you can imagine me if a trick-or-treater had knocked on my door and going, "What, you want me to share my candy?" Oh, it's chocolate with caramel. Well, that's a whole different story, Jeannie. I definitely wouldn't be sharing that. In terms of the feeling of being in control, I wondered whether any of you have done the seasonal task, at least seasonal anyway, of washing out your washing machine and your dishwasher. Kimmy, I found mine on Amazon for about $100 Canadian, and I noticed that recently they put the price up. But I will gladly send you the link. The reason I bought it was it wasn't $600, although you could get one for that price. I wanted something that I could, if I didn't use it very much, I wouldn't be wasting a whole lot of money. And it came already put together, except you had to put the handlebars on it, but that was all you had to do. So it was very good. And it's really good for, it's good on my knees and good on my hips, as you said. So here we go. If you haven't cleaned your dishwasher, do you know how to do it? The inside of your dishwasher. The easiest way to do it is, quite honestly, about once a month is the best idea. Take a mug, a dishwasher safe mug, and sort of put about 3/4 of a mug of vinegar in it, and then run your dishwasher. All right? And that will clean a lot of the grease and stuff out of the system. If your dishwasher isn't sort of getting things clean the way you'd like it to, it's probably time that you did it. All right. Obviously, some things are pretty gummed up. And if necessary, do it twice. And then the same thing with your washing machine. literally fill it up to run on its hottest cycle and add vinegar to it and run the cycle. In fact, they say add 4 cups of vinegar, all right? And then once it's gone through, if there's any way you can stop your washer mid-cycle, letting it sit for a while is a good idea. Mine, if you stop it mid-cycle, it automatically drains, so that's a bit difficult. And so think about that. And again, remember that certain soaps have oils in them, and others don't. So be aware of what you're using in your dishwasher. For those of you who cheat your dishwasher by using dishwashing soap dish soap rather than dishwashing soap, understand that dish soap has oils in it, and so you definitely need to be using vinegar. Jeannie's saying that she has found a house cleaner at a good rate, and she starts towards the end of the month. That's a great gift to give yourself. I know that a lot of people can't afford that in their lives, but if you can afford it, it is a great gift to give yourself. Of course, how many of you have had a cleaner come into your house and then you start to wonder why? Because before they come, you clean the house so they won't think you're a dirty person. Do any of you relate to them? I have a feeling some of you might. No, Sam, what I meant was dish soap as opposed to dishwashing soap. If you've got liquid dishwashing soap, it's a good thing. You use baking soda and Dawn. All right, so just double check because I'm not 100% sure. I have to put my glasses on. Is your Dawn near you, Sam, that you can grab the bottle? I must admit that I do make my own, as you know, quite regularly. But what I want you to know, if you do make your own, make sure you do a cleanse of your dishwasher every month. Yep. So just make sure that it hasn't got any oils in it. I don't think that Dawn does, because it's used to remove. Actually, that's good. It's used to remove oil, isn't it, on ducks and things. So therefore, I would think it would be pretty good. Yes, and obviously baking soda is a good thing to use as well. Great. I'm glad that you are lowering your carbon footprint like that. All right, so Jeannie's saying that once a month she's going to have somebody clean her house. She needs one due to asthma problems as I dust and clean. Yes. You know what I found, Jeannie, as well, just so that you're aware, getting an N95 mask will stop a lot of that. For those of you who have asthma and are dust sensitive, I am too. And, I find if I really am sensible, I will clean while wearing an N95 mask that will filter out things. Yeah. So, Jeannie, I think it's a wonderful gift. You don't have to have a reason for doing it. I think it's a wonderful gift to give yourself. Well done. At your age, All right. I want to know how many of you are feeling the pinch with inflation going up now. And feeling the pinch is really what I want to get at. We did warn we've been warning, I think 2 years ago, I started warning you about the fact that, because of the pandemic, there would be shortages and there would also be inflation following it. And I want to say that, I hear that the price of gas is about to go absolutely insane. And just be aware. What changes are you making to your routine so that doesn't cause too much of a problem for you? I have found that instead of complaining about the price of gas, I am getting gas as cheaply as I can, and I only go out. At the moment, I am going out about once every 2 weeks, but I have to remember to charge up my car on a short run, just so that my battery doesn't die, especially in the winter. Right. So Jody is just giving us a heads up on thank you, Jody. Less than 1/7 of the formulation of Dawn comes from petroleum. Therefore, it only has a minor amount. Thank you, Jody. That's why it's used. And so that's good. I appreciate that. How about this one? Enthusiasm is so contagious. Nothing is so contagious as enthusiasm because it moves stones, it charms brutes. Enthusiasm is the genius of sincerity, and truth accomplish no victories without it. I can remember once giving a speech, and I talked about the fact that, wasn't it funny how many idiosyncrasies there were in life? And what I said was, here I am, a motivational speaker on antidepressants. And the audience burst out laughing. And I said, no, it's true. And I said, and probably somewhere in this room, we have got realtors who rent properties, they don't own them. And, I went through a whole list of as many diametrically opposed situations as I could think of. And I just said, it is so funny how many times this happens. All right. And I said, get a sense of humor because that is life. It's reality. Jeannie, is that a main product? Jeannie's busy saying that she really recommends Dave's Killer Bread. Extremely good, leaving you full and not using bad ingredients. I recommend breads, including his raisin bread. Yeah, I recommend making your own, as you know. The reason I say that is I think for those of you who have the time in your lives, learning to bake bread is a really good stress reliever. It's a really good stress reliever, and also it is very creative. So, thank you, Jody. Jody's saying the killer bread is made in Oregon. So that's awesome. So let's ask that question. How do you feel with inflation coming up? Are you buying luxury breads? Oh, she gets it on sale for $1, and the other is $2.50. That's very reasonable. I wonder how they make it at that price. Yeah, I quite honestly, that is a great price. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that she thought, something, I had a look at Whole Foods, Jeannie, you asked me, because I was pretty sure you wanted to find out if I was close enough for the raised mustard that you're always promoting. And I did look at it, and they do have some, but I think only one or two. And so again, What I did look at, though, what you did, Jeannie, and I want to thank you, you really triggered my enthusiasm for mustard. And I haven't had mustard as an ingredient for a long time. And now what I've noticed is there are a lot of specialty mustards in my local store that I have missed, and I thank you. So I will be experimenting a lot more. How many of you think that teachers in general need to be enthusiastic about what they teach? And can you imagine a teacher that wasn't enthusiastic about what they teach? What do you think? Can you imagine? Jeannie's saying that they've got a discount bread store. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of a discount bread store. It's like not one day old bread. I've never heard of a discount bread store. That is really interesting. It's like a dollar store for bread? Huh. So what do they do? I know at one store where I used to shop, they would put their day-old bread on sale. And that was really, if you think about it, how old is your bread at home? I have never heard of a discount bread store. There you go. I learn something every week. Now, it's just like, really? How many of you? Oh, it is day-old bread and pastries, etc. Yes, that's what I wondered. I can understand that. That makes sense to me if it's day-old. All right. I thought it was just that you got it automatically fresh. So I wanted to know how you guys are dealing with the increase of inflation and not necessarily your income or your pension. The reason I'm asking that is because I do believe it requires that we get more intelligent about how we eat food. I definitely have changed what I've been doing. And I thought you guys would like to know that tonight we're going to do a very old, what I call an English recipe for Cornish pasties. And that was because Jody actually got inspired to make some. And as Jody so rightly said, unfortunately, they made them, they cooked them, they finished them, and now they're going, where's the next batch? So we know that they are tasty to have. And again, Jody, I was delighted that you got some HP sauce to go with them. It does have a good taste, doesn't it? All right, so Jeannie's saying we have 2 discount bread stores nearby, not day-old bread. Okay, interesting. I wonder how they put it. How can they put it on? Okay, interesting. I wonder, they just take less of a profit, I guess. Huh. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be, and Jody's saying HP sauce will be forever in her pantry. I managed to get, hang on a second. It is interesting, Jody, that you mentioned that it doesn't taste like A1 sauce. Yeah. I don't know what it is about HP that tastes so good, but it does. I also wanted to tell you I got the fruity one this week. It's sometimes difficult to get, but I did manage to get it. So when I make those pasties tonight, I might add a bit in there when I'm making it. All right, so guys, I find this whole conversation about it's extra bread, not day-old bread. How do they know it's extra? Oh, when they've supplied oh, I got it. Okay, that makes sense now, Jeannie. When they've supplied everybody and they still have bread left over, they then send it to the discount bread store. Jody's saying, I'll fight anybody who says this tastes like A1 sauce. Yeah, I agree. And I've also found, when I'm making my soups, I try to make homemade soup. I don't try, I do. Oh, yeah. So this is my pre-made homemade soup, Jody. And what I will do is when I actually go to warm it up, I'll squidge a little bit of HP in there and then just gives it a bit more flavor without a whole lot of work. Yeah, I cheat a lot, I must admit, but with good reason, right? And so I was looking forward to doing that. And Jeannie, I noticed that you gave me the same recipe as either Isabel or Sandy. Who was it that gave us the recipe with the crescent roll pastry during the broadcast? Somebody did. And what I will do then is also try that. I'm going to go to the store after the broadcast and see if I can pick some up. And then we'll do a little bit with that as well. So thank you for sharing that, and we'll see. As I said, it was funny that I think 3 different viewers all talked about that. So obviously, it was a good idea to get that pastry. So that's what I'm going to go to the store and see if I can get. So if I can get it, then I will definitely do some work with that as well. I wanted to check how you're feeling about Christmas. And have you got most of your Christmas shopping done? Please, if you want to feel in control, it would be a really good idea because of the problems with the supply chain. Any presents you can buy now would be a good idea because they may not be available come Christmas. And I would like you to really think about that, get creative. All right. And also, how many of you have finished your Christmas shopping? Anybody? I keep thinking I have. Interesting. Jody's saying that her cards arrive tomorrow. Thanks to the reminder. Jody, I have now got to the stage where my international cards are ready in envelopes with the postage on, and they will go next week. The ones that go internationally. The ones for the US will go 10 days later, a week or 10 days later. Yeah. Jeannie's saying everybody loves her tomato soup, which includes curry powder. Ginny, the interesting thing that Jody has taught me is those things like curry powder and stuff are really good for your metabolism. And I always thought, I didn't like curry powder and stuff like that, or I wasn't really mad about what are the other ones like that, paprika, chili powders, things like that. So now, thanks to Jody's education, I really keep doing. Have I got something in there that's going to kickstart the metabolism? If I'm making a dessert, have I thrown some cinnamon on? So that to me is really important. Jeannie, that's really interesting. You should say that. Jeannie's saying, I give many gifts before Christmas. Yes, I've given some of mine already. Stocking stuff thing. I was going to give you this for Christmas, but actually it's going to be useful for you in the fall. So I'm going to give it to you now. Kimmy's saying cinnamon is good for diabetes, but I have to be careful how much I use. Yes, again, everything in moderation. What I'm trying to say is be great about adding them. All right. As I said, if I'm making a dessert, I try to sprinkle some cinnamon on top or some nutmeg or something. The spices, for some reason, just do good things for the body. And they're way better for us than the sugars. Add your sweetness. I did, what did I do this week? And I'll talk more about this, I guess, but I made sure I made a chia pudding this week. I don't particularly like chia pudding, to be quite honest, but I did chia pudding and a teaspoon of no sugar added jam, and I threw in some cinnamon, and then I actually put it into a blender and made a smoothie out of it, with some banana. So to me, it's about are we eating the good things, and if so, we will, be doing good things for our body. Jody, I found no sugar, no sugar added jam covers a lot of that taste, and it works well in a smoothie. Put it in the blender. I actually did that, and I added yogurt, which is a good thing to have. It was just like my health drink that day. But I'm trying to make sure that once a week I eat oats, once a week I eat chia seeds. Again, why? If I get into the habit of doing it, it'll be better for me. I know that. It's very healthy, I know. Yep. So there we go. Tonight we will do some fun cooking, I hope, and we'll see you for that. And in the meantime, if you have any subjects you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. I am trying to pick, coming up now, I am trying to pick some subjects to do on Friday lunchtimes that are positive feelings. We've spent a lot of time on the downside of a lot of feelings. And what I wanted to do is to remind us about the upside. How many of you feel that enthusiasm is something you can control? What do you think? Can you be responsible for your own enthusiasm? And if you can, you understand that is emotionally intelligent. All right? And when I say that is I want to remind us that enthusiasm, you don't go and buy it in a shop. I want you to remember that enthusiasm is something you give to yourself. It's like love. Right? It's something you give to yourself. If you're not doing things that make you feel energized, if you're not doing things that give you smiles, if you're not taking the time to make yourself laugh, then why? Why not? If you spend your whole time being in overwhelm and, really stressed out, how can you be enthusiastic about life? I knew when I went to bed last night, it was probably not going to be an easy night for me. And, the funny thing was, I just went, that doesn't have to control my day. And it wasn't an easy night for me. And I then, I made lots of choices, but I was aware of the choices I was making and said, okay, fine, I'm still going to watch the funeral because I want to do that. Not because I'm enthusiastic about funerals, no, but I was enthusiastic about the man. And I did want to be part of that moment. And it was really amazing. Oh, that's interesting. Kimmy said, I wish there were addresses to everyone so I can send cards. That is really kind thought. Jeannie saying, I feel responsible for my own enthusiasm. Yes. And when you can realize that if you are constantly controlled by the outside world, then that drags down your enthusiasm. All right. Because you're always, surrounded by people and their negative thoughts about you and the things that you do. And, it was really something that you have to control. I have, to me, I want to be around people that I can feel good about. And also, that doesn't mean that I don't have serious conversations with people or that I just mix with people that agree with me. That's not true of me. But what I do is I want to make sure that I have responsibility for my own enthusiasm and also that I do what I can to help keep my family and friends enthusiastic as well. For whatever way, because I think that's what friends do, right? The friends help each other when we're feeling down. They help build their enthusiasm back up again. Jody, you will understand that when you, I'm going to just talk about this, Jody, so forgive me, but Jody sent me something that she was thinking of doing needlepoint wise. Well, I know, because I know Jody pretty well, that she has some pretty serious arthritis. And so doing needlepoint is, whilst good for her arthritis, is going to be slower for her than it normally would be. And, she originally sent me something that was quite a big piece of needlepoint. And I, as her friend, wrote back and said, I was concerned that it might be a bit too big. And, what I understood was she wanted to do it to exercise, her fingers and stuff. But I also know that if it's too big, it can be overwhelming. And then you end up with, oh, I just wasted a whole lot of money. So I was really pleased when she decided to cut down the size of it and go for a slightly smaller one, to check whether she could still do it, with her arthritis the way that it is. Jody, it was very selfish of me, but I felt so much better. I felt much more enthusiastic for you. So I hope it comes soon, and I hope you really enjoy it. Yes, Kimmy, I did watch Colin Powell's funeral. Yes, that's... And by the way, do you know that his family and friends, he wasn't Colin to them, he was Colin. He pronounced it the English way. I didn't know that until today. Did you? Yeah, the English call it Colin, not Colin. And I heard one of his friends say that you knew who his friends were because they called him Colin. And that was the name that how he pronounced it. It's like one of my names is Tanya, and people will say Tanya, and I go, no. One of my names is Tanya. Oh, do you spell it with an O? No. Tanya, Tanya. So there we go. All right, we all learned. Explain that to me a little bit better, Kimmy. I think insurance companies are cutting back. I got hit with a full bill. I'm missing something there. They're cutting back in what way? And you got a full bill for what? I think you're going to find that absolutely everything is going to go up in price. I'd be very surprised. So any way that you can reduce costs in your daily living, you will be hit less hard with it. And you will continue to be enthusiastic. That's why I really like the idea of the Cornish pasties. I thought what I might do over the course of the next few weeks is just sort of do why certain countries have certain foods, as their staples. And the reason is because a lot of people can eat more cheaply that way. If you think about it, Jody, pierogies, right? Why were pierogies so popular? Why in the Philippines are certain things so popular? Why in China are certain things so popular? The reason is because they don't concentrate on meat. A medical insurance. Okay, Kimmy, that makes more sense. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. Kimmy is now saying they're not paying the things they used to. I had to pay a full bill for labs and a COVID test. Yes, Kimmy. And Jody is adding, Kimmy, double check that it was billed correctly, please. Could have been an error. She said, I did that for a living for many years. Yeah, so we're all going to learn from each other here on how to save money. And, if your insurance company, I'm pretty certain insurance companies, health insurance companies are going to, have a problem recovering costs for COVID, that's for sure. Yes, and if you go to hospital to have surgery or anything, you have to have a COVID test. If you want to fly, you have to have a COVID test. There's going to be so many ways that will happen. For me, if I wanted to go down to the States to visit the kids, the grandkids, it would cost me a fortune today. All right. Why? Because I would have to do the COVID test and stuff, but also for me to travel now post-COVID will cost me a whole lot more. All right. So Jody's saying a COVID test for surgery is covered. Did you know that, Kimmy? How is that covered? Under all insurance, or Jody, you may want to give a few more words on that one. All right, so Kimmy's saying, I've been checking and told the hospital that my insurance company said to call them and they haven't called. It's covered under surgery approval. Thank you very much, Jody. Kimmy's saying that the hospital told her she has to pay for it. Maybe it's a different insurance coverage. Jody, I'm inclined to agree with you because okay, good. Thank you, Jody. Jody says she's going to double check and then message Kimmy about it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, I need to get out of here. So let's live life as enthusiastically as we can. What are you going to do if you're not feeling very enthusiastic? All right. This is either help yourself or phone somebody you know who can help you. All right. Don't stay down, because staying down limits everything you do. It limits your posture. It limits your muscles moving. It limits everything. Being enthusiastic is good for your health. And that's what I want you to think about. And if you're not enthusiastic, my question is, get emotionally intelligent and ask yourself, what am I going to do about it? Am I making time every day to do something I love, something that makes me happy, something that makes me feel I'm contributing to the world? Whatever it is that rocks your boat, think about that. Am I doing what I think I want to be doing? And if not, why not? And that is really where we need to be. If you're not feeling well, are you doing the best you can? And are you doing fun things as best you can as well? As Jody and Lionel do you have a spot in your day where you stop everything and laugh? Put something on that makes you laugh. That is part of your routine to do that. Jody, I was just so delighted that you do that with Lionel, because I think that is so important. And so therefore, remember that most of all, enthusiasm is contagious. And I thank you all for being part of my enthusiasm. I can assure you that, I have days where I may not feel great about, gosh, I'm going to be doing a broadcast tomorrow. Am I prepared? But what I can tell you is every time I am prepared, every time I've done the work and done the research and done whatever, I can tell you without a doubt, I always feel more enthusiastic once it's all put to bed and I know I can get up the next morning and the broadcast is ready to go, and that I believe that it may help somebody. I'm hoping that somewhere in today's broadcast, you found something of value to you. And if you did, please make sure you leave a comment below so other people know that. Kimmy's saying, I need to do more exercise and get out more when the weather is good. You need to get out more even when the weather isn't good, Kimmy. That's why I try to make sure I go out every day and get fresh air. And it doesn't matter if it's raining. All right. That's what we have raincoats for. Doing crafts is a great idea as well. It is really relaxing. Mind you, for me, doing some of my crafts is not relaxing, but I get great achievement out of it as I learn. It is also good because you're always learning something when you're doing crafts. And the thing about using your brain is that will, reduce your chances of dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Keep your brain moving. And, the more you exercise your brain, it's like any other muscle. The more you exercise it, the less you're going to lose. And so use it, don't lose it, be it your brain or your muscles. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, enthusiastically yours, and we will see you this evening for some Cornish pasties. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody.